Good afternoon. I'm fine. How are you? I'm seeing a serving which is empty. So I want us to discuss the vices and the virtues. And I think I have written on board already. So refer to your books as we discuss them. And also I had shown the chapters where they are found. So did you copy? Yeah, so let's start with the virtues. Of course, virtues are the good decisions according to society. So what was the first virtue? Unity, right? Now, how do we see unity in fathers of nations? How do we see it? Or where does it happen? Yes? Can someone explain the first unity you experienced in fathers of nations? The first example of unity that we experienced in fathers of nations? Yes. Let's check on the page so that we can get the rest of the details. Which page is that? We know the chapter, right? It was chapter? It's chapter 1 and 2. Of course, it starts in chapter 1, right?
Yes.
The four of the guests, we are told on page 1 that the four strangers checked at the Seamount Hotel on one evening in Banjul. And of course, we are told that none of them knew each other, but of course they are working in one spirit because all of them are working under Third Longway in which company? AGDA, which is? Agency of? Yeah. So why are they uniting? What is their interest? And that one is shown in chapter 3, right? Chapter 3, when Third Longway comes to visit Karanja Kimani. Which page? Page 21. It's not 21. It must be somewhere around 30. In fact, it's shared almost when he's finishing. That is when he reveals to him why he came. 43. So he reveals that he has a strategy known as Path Alpha, and it is there to allow them to present public discontent and allow people to express themselves and then mobilize civic discontent into the will to change. So they want to fight what? He mentioned that the society is ailing from 4 problems. And those were shared on page 40. What problems were they? Yes. Poverty. Yes. Ignorance. Diseases. And currently, corruption plus impunity that is now coming as the 5th problem. So we realize that these people are actually uniting towards a purpose to fight those 4 problems or vices in the community. And once they fight them, Third Longway tells us what will happen. What will happen now after they fight that? When they fight that, what is going to happen in the society? Yes? What will be there? Because when we are fighting for something, it must give us some positive. So what will be the consequence after that is fought? And I think that one was shared in chapter 5. when he was traveling with Abiola Afolabi, and he shared the consequence of that. If someone can check for us chapter 5, then you can tell us the consequence of that, or the result. Anyone who has found it? Chapter 5, anyone who has found that? In the plain? Must be page 70. Around page 73, 74. It starts from 72 up to 74. Though it's not clearly told, but what we know is that once AGDA is able to push for Path Alpha, then we will have, we will have nations whereby people will actually be having integrity, and that the property, or rather the wealth of a nation, will be safeguarded. And away from that, the leadership will also be acquired in the correct way, so that people will not be ruling forever, and people will be willingly handing over leadership to the next people who are appropriate. Then they will be able to guard their wealth as expected. Then the law will take its process, so that if someone does wrong, the law does not cover them. And then people will also be safe from illnesses, and they'll be informed. You know, like you just have to imagine about the results of doing away with the diseases, poverty, corruption, and what? Impunity and ignorance. Yeah. So once that is eliminated, you talk about the consequence of that. Now, how does the unity actually bring success of Path Alpha? We have read up to the end, and when we read, the last time we read the last chapter, which is chapter 15. Yeah, chapter 14, we actually realized that there was success of Path. We didn't read. What do you mean? We only reached chapter 14. But that is the last chapter, of course. Oh, the last part we didn't read. And up to now you had never read. You read on your own. Okay? So if we have not read, then let's read through. Though it's a very short part, let's try and see whether we can finish to establish that end. Because I thought we had finished, that's why I started by discussing the vices and the virtues. When the summit was used, the debaters seemed to have done its job. It had illuminated the old man with a second round of youth. His very voice had fresh blood. Monsieur le President, he began, I would now like to execute the process itself. I wish, in other words, to determine what choice summit must be made between Omega and Path Alpha. But first, Monsieur le President, please to join me here where I stand. I will need your help. The chair joined the old man at the speaker's microphone. Thanks. Acknowledged the old man with a smile went to withdraw. In turn, you,
beside the chair. Boom! The old man held his coin high head again. Monsieur le President, what I do now is toss this coin. When it lands, you and your 2 witnesses will look to see what is up. Heads or tails. The old man threw his coin up in the air then, feigning fear of the impending results, closed his eyes. The chair and his 2 witnesses lost into look. Monsieur le President, what's up? Asked the old man, his eyes still closed. Tails up. Is that right? The old man's eyes opened.
Laura Beryl, you being called? See the nurse. Yeah, we can proceed.
Is that right? The old man's eyes opened. Now look at the second equation. First row, second column of the choice matrix. Monsieur le President, what does it say you? It says that alpha progresses to. Hip, 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 shouted Mr. Longway from the back among the observers. Hurrah! Shouted Professor Kimani in response also from the back. Hush! You two back there. Hissed the chair in anger. Remember, you are observers, not participants. So, shush. They shush. So, as I was saying, but alpha progresses to the second toss. No, objected Mr. Zinto again. Mr. Chairman, be quiet. Mr. Zinto, ordered the chair. President Bangora, please go on. Merci. The coin rose and fell again. Now what's up? Heads up. Monsieur le President, according to the other equation, in second row, first column of the choice matrix, that means what? It means the summit must approve but alpha. Praise the Lord. Honored Pastor Shamama from the back. Amen. Mama a few heads of state. Amen. Mama a few more. Order, please. Order the chair. Order. Mama's persisted. Amen. 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 Order returned. Good. It's decided. Then, Excellencies, but alpha is our choice. Alhamdulillah. There Engineer Tahir in Arabic. Praise be to God. For Professor Kimani, Pastor Chiamaka and Engineer Tahir, as well as Comrade Melusi in absentia. That moment of victory was therapeutic. In Alpha, there was a chance that action, concrete action, would be taken to right the wrongs they had each suffered. The chair had begun walking back to his seat. Now he stopped. Good stuff, he said appreciatively. Then he began walking again. President Bangora, come. Merci. Of course, the old fellow started to follow behind the chair.
Yes? Let us listen to the French students. What are they saying?
Au revoir.
You've heard?
Yeah, au revoir.
Repeat.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. Continue.
Goodbye. He said to the youth at the projector. Goodbye, sir. Thanks. The old man followed on, trained by Dr. Afolabi and Mr. Zinto. When all four were back at their seats. The chair began to wrap up. Excellencies, we have come to the end of our summit. He smiled. And why not? Had the trick not saved the day? Had it not eliminated the need for the consensus he could not achieve? Go back home safely. Excellencies, as we say in my country, travel like lions, without fear of attack or worry about supper. And speaking about supper, the Pinnacle informs me that to cap our summit, it has organized a closing ceremony on the mezzanine floor. This will start swiftly in 30 minutes, so we'll meet there soon. Double hit hood. Bang! I now declare the summit itself formally closed. Bang! Bang! President Bibonso sprang to his feet at once. Mr. Chairman, don't insult our intelligence with that rubbish. His voice was grating on all ears in terms of French. What rubbish are you referring to, President Bibonso? Asked the chair. He was rising to the challenge. The choice matrix indeed. Do you really expect us to buy into that madness? Can't you see that some of us are not sane? We reject the matrix, lock, stock, and barrel. I said the summit stands closed. Instead the chair, bam, bam. And I say it is open again, retorted President Bibonso. But President Bibonso, you do not have the power to do so. Who says I do not have the power to do so? See this. He pulled out a pistol, pocket size. The other heads of state scrambled to hide under their desks. President Bibonso, put that thing away, demanded the chair. Make me, retorted President Bibonso. The pistol clicked. It was ready to start spitting fire at the chair. Hey, I told you to put that thing away. And I told you to make me put it away. The small gun stayed. All right, watch me. The chair pressed a panic button hidden under his desk. Commandos armed with machine guns burst into the summit hall at a run. The chair smiled. Do what you came to do, boys. They cocked their guns. President Bibonso disassembled his little gun. Hid it away, and then slipped out through an emergency exit. You can come out now, fellows, said the chair to the other heads of state. All of them rushed to the exit, swearing not to return for the summit's closing ceremony. The chair turned to his commandos. Come on, boys, he said. Let's go. Hey, sir. They lowered their guns, closed ranks behind him, and escorted him out. It was over. Mr. Manley rose. Do you recall me what made back to our barracks success? Cowboy, he joked to the boa technician. Hey, sir, answered the youth in a whisper, mocking the commandos. I recall me all to sir. Dr. Afolabi and Miss Mackenzie were already leaving. He reached for her hand and asked, so, what do you think? She received his hand in hers and asked back, so, what did I think about what? Come on, about the summit. Quite a show. Are summits crazy like that? She asked. No, only those that are crazy like that are crazy like that. Mr. Longway and his 4 men were last to leave. As they were leaving, they hugged and cheered. Against all odds, their path Alpha had carried the day.
All right. So a quick talk about chapter 14. If we have to talk about the first part, what happens in the first part of the episode? That is from page 173 up to page 180. What do we see? Because that is the first session, then we have the second session. Because the summit has reconvened after the adjournment the previous day, and we were given about 4 promises of what will happen. So what happens now here? What happens? Page 173 up to 180. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we still see President Bangora being overseeing the method which they actually decided to use in choosing way, omega, or path alpha. And of course, a committee had been picked to deal with that. But now that he had said he will not read and he will not go through the documents, people did not know whether he was serious and he had come up with the solution. Of course, that shows us the poor leaders we have in Africa in some situations. Any other thing we see? Any other? What change do we see? Yeah. Yeah, so Mr. Zinto's position had been replaced by President Bangora now that he was the chair of the method committee. And what else do we see? Dr. Folabian? Yeah? Yeah, they still maintain their position, but now we had been introduced to observers, right? That is who? Mr. Manley? And then Mrs. Mackenzie. And then we had Nick. We are told that Pastor Chamaka, Kimani, and Engineer Tahir were sitting behind them, right? Yes. Then Nick was sitting in the third position near Mackenzie and the VOA chair, right? Yeah, but now we didn't have Mr. Melusi. Remember, he had tried to attack the president and the police had taken him away. What else do we see? Somewhere up page 174 up to 175, what are we told by President Bangora? Or what do we realize there? Yeah, so we see Bangora moving to the stage and then trying to tell them the method they are going to use. And he knows that it's a complex thing. So, of course, it is shown graphically on page 177, right? Yes. About how they are going to vote, that they'll cast a coin. And when it falls, with the heads for the first time, then it will be omega. And then for the second time, then they'll approve it. But if it falls for the first time with the tail, then it will be path alpha. And then they'll have, in case it falls the other way, then they'll reject it. But if it goes on, they'll approve. So it's a complex method because, you know, like someone explaining something using a projector, using mathematics and all that. And a whole president, remember most of them don't want to tire their minds. They don't even want to read documents. So do you think even they paid attention to what they were being told here? No. And it's also a joke to actually make a decision over casting a coin. It's such a gambling method. It tells us how African leaders are not also serious, or how they can actually allow gambling about with their countries. Because if a decision has to be made over a coin tossing, that is a serious situation. Now you realize who is controlling the projector here? Who is controlling the projector for Bangora? Yes? Yeah. Mambiram. Yeah, so we have Mambiram on page 177. He's the one controlling the projector, as the Bangora explained this. And we are told that while he was explaining, many presidents were just murmuring to each other. They were not even listening. They were not paying attention. And whenever he explained, they kept laughing at his humor, but they did not understand what he was saying. And then Bangora was taking an authoritative approach. If someone wants to talk, then he puts him off. Like you realize that when someone talked about a real summit don't decide by flipping, he told them that I see, and I suppose, how do you say that in French? Charles Mistre? Or what is that? That on 8. 178, there is somewhere there.
Chef le ministère.
Cheikh le Mistre.
Chef le ministère.
Oh, okay. So he says that protestation will only occur again if the way Omega wins. And at the end of the day, when he cast the coin, do you think he was genuine, that he did not know that it is the tail or the head that is falling? When the President Bangora actually flipped the coin and it fell, and he pretended to close his eyes and not know the answer. You are sure he didn't know?
He knew.
He knew. You know, I don't know if you have passed in towns and seen these people who play with the papers and casting around. They normally know. There is a way they trick you. They move very fast and tell you this, semani gani, this, semani gani. So if you are not careful, you are going to lose all your money there. So he knew exactly that it's going to fall for Path Alpha, and it's a trick. They had decided they don't want a conflict over way Omega, because there were leaders who were interested. So the first time we see it is tail, and again it repeated, and then we see the celebration from the 4 agents. And finally, as Bangora is closing the meeting, who comes up to say he is not allowing that? Minister Zinto. But because the chair is determined, he decides to actually insist. And while closing the meeting and promising that people can now be happy, travel as they can also go for lunch, someone, Dibonzo, comes up with what? He wants to actually use his pistol. And because now in such meetings there is always a panic alert, you can press it. So we see the chair pressing that panic button, and the police come in with real rifles wanting to aim at him. It is so funny that all the other presidents hide. You know, like one person with a pistol, can he kill 10 all people? Why would they not run and hold him? Instead of that, all of them are hiding. And until the police come, we see them walking away very fast. It's so funny, actually. So, same for the 4, and Mackenzie, who wait alongside Nick. And now Nick makes fun of it, saying, hey, sir, I reckon we ought to, sir. So as they end the end of it, and they are hugging and cheering. So we really see that they have worked. Their unity has offered them success. So we'll discuss more on virtues later, but at least we are through with that reading. Nice time. Supreme Court.